I want to say thank you so much for joining in. If you can please do us all a favor, please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, text a friend, do whatever you need to do to help support this movement that we have going on here. This has been a great experience, but I will tell you that this has been it's a great experience, but let me tell you, the overtime that has been put into this, it's a lot. But of course, I wouldn't want it any other way. So I want to say thank you so much to everybody who helps support and makes this thing going on. And of course, I could not do this without my executive producer, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for allowing me another opportunity to come out here and give you the 4-in-1 podcast. We have a very special guest tonight, a friend of the show, Mr. Ian West. Can't wait to speak to him, catch up with him. It's been a moment. He's always supported, and I believe that this is about his third time coming on the show. So tonight, we are speaking about restoring relationships and reclaiming peace. Are you ready to reclaim your peace? We're going to speak about that tonight. But I want to go ahead and give a very special thank you to a few people who have liked, comment, came through. Let's talk about night one. Antonio, Armenio, True Hill. He did a great job with episode one. Came in and kicked down the door and shared his life experience. Go ahead and check out episode one. We had episode two, night two, Miss Raquel Hernandez, all the way from my home state of New Jersey. We talked about entrepreneurship. We talked about healing the wounds that you don't see. How do you navigate? How do you go throughout life when you've been through a tragic situation, when you've been through something personal? Check out night two. Then we had Canadian recording artist night three, Maddie Lee Mars. We spoke about music all the way from, she spoke about the Spice Girls. We spoke about Stevie Wonder. We spoke about, of course, my favorite, Nickelback, Alanis Morissette. It was really a heavy conversation about music and musicians. So check that out for night three. Last night, we had my friend, Mr. Birdman 313, on Reading Between the Wines, the first episode. Thank you, Birdman, for coming through. He shared some wisdom, some knowledge, his new book out. I'm going to go ahead and share the links as well as far as picking up his book, because we spoke so much that we even forgot to let everyone know to pick up where the new book is, so you can tell exactly what type of conversation we had yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that as well for everybody. And then tonight we have Ian West. I'm not going to say where he's from because I don't want to stumble and mess that up. For some reason, I'm thinking that it's Kentucky, but I could be wrong. I'm like torn between Kentucky and Tennessee, but we're going to find out real shortly. And then, of course, now I'm off tomorrow. There will be no show tomorrow. I'll let you know towards the end of the show why there will be no show tomorrow. And then, of course, Miss Valine Jackson is going to come in on Saturday for the final show of Reading Between the Wines. And we're going to close everything up on Saturday. Very special thank you to Alex Coquito all the way from Puerto Rico. Miss Shanti Refuge, Okita, author Lauren Schultz, Sheila the Credit Boss, Mr. Amari Young, Carol Cordera, Onyx Blade, Jason T. Davis, recording artist Donnie Nicole, Easy Street with Jen, author Melvin Parapoli. Hopefully I got that right. Scars of Survival Magazine, Danny L., and Rena Mine. Thank you all so much for supporting. Again, please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, invite them in. We're going to have a great conversation tonight speaking about restoring relationships and reclaiming your peace. I just want to know, are you ready to reclaim your peace? Song of the day, For Granted. Now, this artist is very special to me. First of all, any artist that comes through, any musician that comes through, I support them because in my past life, I wanted to be a singer. So any musician that comes through here on the 4-in-1 podcast, we like roll out the red carpet for them. I actually had the honor of interviewing Miss Lolly Mariah in 2020 during my first season of the 411 podcast. So she's an independent artist, and the album is called Sirens. And this was released in 2020, but the song is For Granted. I fell in love with this song, and it stuck with me ever since. And when I get into music, I like binge listen to music. So, for example, like 3 weeks ago, I was binge listening to Corinne Bailey Rae. I listened to Corinne Bailey Rae so much that my YouTube music told me that I was like one of the top listeners. So that's how much when I really get in and I start to dissect and listen to the lyrics and find out exactly what, this artist is really bringing. I listened to like Lolly Mariah and this one single song For Granted for like a week straight. And in this record, she speaks about, tell me, have you ever loved someone and someone loved you, but you took that for granted again and again? What if God only made you and you were basically here on this earth alone with no best friend, no boyfriend, no girlfriend? And then she says, no best friend again. But let me tell you, her voice is so unique. And the music and the way they put this song together, For Granted, is just amazing. You'll melt. Do me a favor. Please check out Lolly Mariah, her song For Granted. You will absolutely melt. If you've been through some type of heartbreak, if you've been through some type of relationship situation, if you realize that it wasn't the other person's fault, maybe, you took some accountability and responsibility for your life and realized what role you played in it as well. For Granted is going to make you really think. The next time that you get into some relationships, the next time that you get into a situation, how will you treat people? Will you treat them with respect? Because tell me, what would you do if God only made you and you were on this earth all alone and you had no best friend, you had no boyfriend, you had no girlfriend? This is what happens when we take people for granted. And when I look at it, I would say, yeah, I haven't always been, the person that you all here see today. There, it was a darker side of me. And songs like For Granted lets me understand that how will we go into the next situation? How will we treat the next person? How will we treat, going forward? And one thing that I've learned is that nobody can make you do anything. So before I was stuck on, you did this to me, you did that to me, I can't believe it. And this is the reason why. That's selfish talk, that's ignorance. But now that I know better, I do better. So no one can make you do anything. So before you take anyone for granted, before you take any type of relationship for granted, these are the things that I have to speak to self. We're going to get up and we're going to take responsibility for ourselves. And we're going to remove ourselves from the situation. So we're not taking any situation for granted. We're not taking anybody for granted. Last night, when speaking with Birdman 313, we spoke about that. When you get so up, when you get so excited, when you get so emotional about something, when emotions get involved and emotions are high, intelligence goes out the window. I learned that very quickly. So I will make sure that I don't take anything for granted. I won't take any situation for granted. I won't take any blessings for granted, because people are blessings as well when they come into your life and they're here to teach us. I don't know who I'm speaking to, but I know I'm going in deep. But I won't take anybody for granted anymore. Thank you so much to Miss Lolly Mariah for this record. It is amazing. It's a gem. It's beautiful. The angelic voice and the way she just rhymes and her voice just wraps around the track. I wish I could play it for you all. I wish I could, but I'm telling you, I was in it and I was stuck for a minute. Song of the Day, For Granted, released in 2020 by Lolly Mariah, an artist that I interviewed here on the 411 podcast. And I spoke to her. I texted her and said, listen, thank you so much for the music that you make. It's artists like you that really bring music to life. And this song actually is speaking to me at this time. And I'm good. I haven't taken anybody for granted. I've done my work. But I just felt like going back because I knew what we were speaking about when it comes to restoration. And I wanted to go back so I could feel it, so that I could bring it, the way I'm bringing it tonight. And she was like, when are we coming back? So I'm like, good, I'm writing something right now and I'm going to get you to come back. So Miss Lolly Mariah will, it's confirmed that she will be coming back on the 411 podcast. And now we bigger, we better, and we're doing bigger and better things. And of course, I could not do this without each and every one of you. So I'm not going to take anybody out there for granted. I'm not going to take any situation out there for granted. Thank you so much for rocking with me, because you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to come here on the 411 podcast featuring my friend, musician, Ian West. So, with that being said, before I know I have to speak about Birdman 313, I do apologize, everybody, because we did not speak about this last night. We were just in a deep conversation, and I'm not sure what happened, but we totally forgot to let each and every one know where to pick up his new book. So, and I should have had this together. Listen, today's been interesting. I should have had all of this set up and ready to go, but I have it now. So you can please support um, Mr. Author Birdman 313. Last night he was on a show. Please go back and check the replay. And he shared with us 3 new poems from his new book, Peaceful Thoughts. And you can check out his new book at amazon.com/author/Birdman313, number 313. So that is amazon.com/author/Birdman313. He also is on goodreads.com. So that is Goodreads, GOODREADS, goodreads.com/Birdman313. His Instagram page, and it is instagram.com/Birdman313. If you want a quick link, you can head on over to my page, and I have tagged him in the episode that we were on last night. That is instagram.com/Birdman313. And he is on YouTube as well. He does a lot of, make sure I get this right, because I want to make it roll off of the tongue nice without messing this up. But he has his own YouTube page, and he gets out into nature, and he is a videographer. I got it. And he puts up videos of being nature into nature, and that's exactly what his books are like, and that's a source of inspiration for him, and that's how he writes his books. YouTube/author poet Birdman 31355. He is on YouTube at author poet Birdman 31355. And last but not least, Spotify.com, Coffee, Wine, and Words, Birdman 313. So that's Spotify.com, Coffee, Wine, and it's that ampersand sign, Words, Birdman 313. Thank you very much, Birdman 313. And without further hesitation, we're going to go ahead and bring up musician Ian West. Now, if you would like to ask myself or Ian West any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat box, and we will have a Q&A session towards the end of the show, and we will go ahead and answer them, as well as the burning questions that we'll be speaking about tonight as well. If you'd like to chime in, you can respond in the chat box as well, or you can text me at 609-200-1098, and of course, we'll speak about that offline if you like that. If you have any burning questions that you want me to address to any future guests in the future, you can, let me know that as well. You can DM me, reach out to me any type of way you like, and I could potentially bring up your burning question on a future show. So I think that we have everything locked in and we're loaded and ready to go. So let's go ahead and bring up musician Ian West, and hopefully I got his hometown correct, but for some reason I don't believe that I did.
You got it. It was on second guess.
So we'll see. Let's see if we get this thing right here. What's going on?
Hey, how are you, Larry?
I'm good. Talk about a great transformation, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I'm so happy that we made this thing work here. We're able to pull this through. So I was scrambling around at the last minute today. I'll just put it out there. We had a little bit, my friend, rest in peace, but we used to call it Camp Sleepy Time. So we had a severe case of Camp Sleepy Time today, everybody. And my alarm clock did not go off the way it was supposed to. And when I woke up, I was like, what the heck happened? But let me tell you, we're rocking and rolling. And the introduction of this show today was just amazing. And I had no idea it was going to come out that way. So, and then, of course, we have you here. So thank you for coming in.
Yeah, love it. Excited to be back.
Yes, yes. Now, where are you from? Did I get it
Tennessee.
right? All right. So I knew, I don't know why I
Yeah,
was saying Kentucky and Tennessee.
Kentucky's right on top of us, so it's pretty much the same thing. You can mash us together, be one big ugly state.
Okay. So then I have to ask this then, which one is better?
Oh, Tennessee for sure.
Tennessee. Of course, because of Nashville, right?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm just outside of Nashville, and Memphis is. I like Memphis too, so it's
I believe,
yeah,
I
Tennessee's
believe
good.
that we spoke about this in the past. I think we have. Yeah, this is
I think
starting to ring a bell now.
yeah, yeah.
So what's been new? What's been going on?
Oh, just doing life.
Hmm.
Um, got my two daughters, so that's mainly what I've been doing. Tending to
Okay.
that.
So, well, congratulations. I knew about your one daughter. Is this a new daughter?
Yeah, it's she just turned 3. I can't recall the last time we spoke, but it was probably around the time that she'd either just been born or it was
Makes
upcoming.
makes sense. Yeah, definitely makes sense. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah,
And I have a question. Did you play music or sing when she was still in the womb?
I did do that a little bit. Yeah, and that was always a very fun moment. If she would start kicking a little bit, move around. Might have been because she didn't like it. I don't know, but either way, she reacted.
Why do you think she didn't like it?
You never know, but
So I heard something very interesting and powerful that you're able to shape a child between the ages of when they're in the womb. So we're going to say 0 all the way up
okay,
into the age of 7. So if you want to make like the next big superstar, now's your opportunity.
right. Well,
Have
I
you?
mean, I try to expose them to they like their kind of music, and I try to play them my kind of music, and they're not as receptive, but they definitely enjoy music though, mainly pop music.
Now, so your oldest daughter, let's see, is it Ella?
You pretty yeah, Isla.
Isla. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So, any new updates with the music?
yeah. She has discovered Bruno Mars, so
Ah,
that's all she's been into for weeks. So I hear that. I think he did a song with Lady Gaga a few months ago, and
okay.
she plays that over and over again. So I'm getting a good dose of Bruno Mars, which I like Bruno, and that's what she's into now.
I think I like old Bruno Mars, like when he first came out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've played her some of that stuff. She likes it all, I think.
My oldest daughter was a fan of Bruno Mars when she was younger, and then she sort of grew out of it. So we don't
Okay.
hear anything about Bruno Mars.
Okay.
Now, let's take it back to when you were a kid. Who was your favorite artist when you were your children's age?
When I was that age, let's see, would still be a time when we mainly it was mainly CDs, but my dad still had a record player, so I was very interested in the record player. And I
Mhm.
remember me and my brother playing like a Beatles greatest hits and Michael Jackson's Thriller just over and over again. So those are
That's
definitely my favorites as when I was like her age, like 7.
that's amazing. I think that's how I actually got into loving music. It was the vinyl record. So it's so mystical that you speak about the vinyl records. My mother was a record collector, and I remember the Michael Jackson Off the Wall album, it actually opened up. It folded and it opened up. And we all know Michael Jackson, and we all know he went through a major transformation. And some people say he wasn't happy with the way he looked when he was younger. I gotta be honest with you. As a little toddler, that Off the Wall album was very scary to me. Michael
Oh,
Jackson wasn't looking, you know, he wasn't looking like nice and friendly on that album. But
oh, really?
for
Okay.
some reason, I was just intrigued by it. I'm like,
Yeah.
this man is very scary. But the socks, they were glowing and stuff. And for some
Yeah.
reason, even though I was like afraid of the album, I still kept playing with it. So once I got
Yeah.
old enough to know how to actually work the record player, that was one of my go-to albums. So yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's funny. Yeah. Did you have a different opinion when you saw Thriller, when he looked maybe a little nicer on the cover?
Um, Okay, a little nicer on the cover, but let me tell you about the Thriller. Whenever that music video came on, everybody loved it, but I was
Oh,
super scared, and
yeah.
it always came on when I was by myself. And I
Hmm.
remember that when I heard the scene with the car driving, through the woods and stuff, I knew what was getting
Yeah.
ready to go down, and I would like book it, and I'd run, and I'd jump and like dive on a couch because I always thought that once I was on a couch and my feet were up,
Yeah.
nothing was gonna come and get me because they broke through the floor of the.
Yeah.
It was a mess. But yeah, even though everyone played that, I was like terrified by that, and it always came on when I was by myself, and I would like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so music with you. You have any new music coming out soon?
I do. It's been uh, 3 years since I put anything out, but I recently wrapped up in the studio with my friend Jack Mercer at Dark Horse Institute Studio in Franklin, Tennessee. So we've got 4 new songs. Last time I put out a 5 song EP, but this time I think I'm just going to put out one single at a time. So I think aiming for like a May release for the next single. But
Awesome. Do we have a name yet?
yeah, I think the first single will be a song called Dark Necessity. And it's in a actually pretty stripped down acoustic, um, pretty mellow type of thing. Um, I had the band come in too. So I did a couple of band songs, and then 2 that were just me, pretty much. So a couple of mellow ones, and then a couple of more up tempo folk rock type songs.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. I
Thanks.
spoke to Maddie Lee Mars and also Antonio earlier this week about the single selection. So, as you have your album built up, what determines which one's going to be the first single? I know we spoke about this on previous ones,
Mm-hmm.
the previous shows. We spoke about the selection process. I remember you saying you have a team, but like, do you like know like that's it? This is the one.
I mean, hopefully, like that's the best case scenario, I think. And this one, I think it's probably less of a standard type of single, but to me, recording these 4 songs, like this song stood out the most. So even if it's not that conventional, I would rather kind of go with my gut as to the song I feel the strongest about, and put that forth first. So that's typically my rules. Whatever song I feel best about, regardless of how it sounds or what style it is. That's
Hmm.
usually what I'm going to go with first.
Are you listening to your own music?
Did you say am I?
Yeah, like are you a fan of your own music? Do you listen
No,
to your own music?
no, definitely not.
No.
I don't. It's a that's my least favorite part of it. I love going in the studio. I love recording, mixing. Getting it right. But the uh, the time it takes. usually, you go in the studio, you get rough mixes. So the engineer will or producer will give me a rough mix, and I got to listen to it and pick out every little thing I find wrong with it. That process is probably the most annoying. Just I don't really enjoy listening to my own music, but you have to try to get it right. So once it's done, I I rarely listen to it unless I need to.
I get that. I when I used to make music, I used to cringe when I listened to my own voice, and I actually found validation when someone would say, "Oh, that's good," and then that the tension would like ease up a little bit once someone says that's good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you get that. Yeah. Like if I'm at a get together or something, and somebody's like, "Hey, I'm gonna put Ian's music on," I'm like, "Sure about that." Like I'm gonna go get a drink. I'll be back.
Are you a fan of overnight success?
I'm sorry. What's that?
Are you a fan of overnight success?
Yeah. I mean that. I think that's sort of an elusive thing, and but I think anybody who finds that would consider themselves to be fortunate.
So, you wake up tomorrow and there's like a bunch of fans that are like screaming and they want to have your autograph. Is that something that you're prepared for?
When you put it that way, I don't think so. To be
No.
honest, I like the idea of, and that's you probably can't have it both ways. Like I like the idea of success in a sense of having the music appreciated, but having extra attention on me beyond when I show up to a place and play music. That's not something I aspire to, which is probably an issue.
No, I mean, hey, some people love it, some people they don't. So,
Yeah, and I think there are certain guys who are extremely successful, like Prince or Bob Dylan, that always seem like to me. I think those guys are probably really introverted and quiet. That type of person, but they can go out and have that persona, which that's a whole nother way to handle it, which I think is cool that people can do that.
it's interesting you said that. Is there a difference between the musician Ian West and the father stay at home person Ian West? Like, do you have to put the musician on when you go out, or is it just sort of like natural?
I think I have to. That's what I've been, working on lately is that I have to lay like I do music uh, because I'm passionate about it. If I'm not passionate about it, then I'm not going to do it. Um, like I've been pretty quiet the past couple of years, music wise, because I've really been dealing with or just working on myself. Kind of a lot of the stuff that you talk about, quite frequently, stuff that is more fundamental. And if I don't lay those proper foundations, um, then it sort of it doesn't work. So if I'm not fully
Yeah,
healthy in every regard, then the music, when I say I do it passionately, it's not work. It comes easy when I'm, in the right place. So I guess it does come natural, but I have to be in that place. If not, then it is an effort and it's not the same thing, not as enjoyable.
that definitely makes sense. That's like we have to do the things that we need to do, which is taking care of ourselves, taking care of our situation. Everything starts with self.
Mhm.
And once you do those things, then life works. And some people, they say, oh, life is this or life is that. Your life is just not working at the moment because there's something that's missing. Like there's a step that you missed, or there's a step that, you have to put into place so that your life can work and run smooth. Because it's going to work one way or the other. It's either going to work for you or is it going to work on you? And so that's very profound that you said that.
Yeah. Well, and it struck me in your introduction when you said that nobody can make you do anything. That it's really on you, and that's what I've realized recently. Is that 90% of my situation is it's on me. Like if I decide to whatever I'm holding on to that's not positive or whatever, that's my choice. You know, and I create my own condition, and I can make it better or worse.
Wow, you're dropping these gems here. You're dropping. You're the things that you just said. I just wrote like three songs.
There
My condition. That's a record right
you
there.
go. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
We'll have to write that down.
Yeah, my condition. My condition. And another thing that you said that was that took the light bulb off for me is when you spoke about it's your choice. You have a choice, and one thing that I learned a couple weeks ago is that there's a choice and there's a decision. And when we go through these things in life, just remember that there's a choice and there's a decision. See, when you make a choice, you can always go back and change your mind. But when you make a decision, you stand on it and you say, okay, absolutely not. After all that I've been through, or whatever I see myself and envision myself, I'm making a decision. And this decision means that I'm going to stick to it and there is no going back. So, I'm very clear now when it comes to making a choice and making a decision because a decision you make a stance to say that this is the end game and I'm just moving forward and there is no going back.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. I love that. That totally makes sense. And once you realize the importance of that, and you make that decision, then it's kind of settled, and you just kind of follow your own rule essentially.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. I want album credits. So we have new songs that are coming out. Um, Choices and Decisions. That's going to be one of them. And
Yep.
what did we say the other one was?
My
I
condition.
My Conditions. There you go.
There you go. All right. I'll get it started tonight, and I'll send it your way.
All right. So let everyone know where they can follow you at, where they can get your music, and let them know your album because I know you do have music out as well. And while you're doing that, I'm going to try to look it up
All right. Sounds
because I
good.
have some questions to ask you.
All right. Um, Instagram is the main place I post. Again, I've been a little quiet recently, but I'm ramping things back up. So at Ian West Music on Instagram, also at Ian West Music on Facebook, and you can find my music on any streaming service, on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple Music. Just search Ian West, and I have a 5-song EP out called "Songs Isla Won't Dance To," in reference to my oldest daughter. And as I said, I will have new songs coming very soon in May. I'll release a new single, and probably every 3 months we'll have new singles throughout the end of the year.
Awesome. Very good. Now, so EP, how do you know um, the length of an album? Like how many songs? Like, do you have that in mind before you go in, or it's sort of as we go and we do the work, and then after it's done, this is what we created?
Yeah, I definitely have it all set beforehand. I have actually another, I want to call it alter ego or whatever. In my past, I recorded under the name Ian C. Parker, and I recorded 2 albums under that name, which you can find on Bandcamp if you happen to be interested. Um, but I've basically cut it down every time. I've had 3 releases. The first one I did 11 songs, the second one was 8, and the third was 5. Um, so my the the way that I've always digested music is through full length albums. So that's always what I wanted to do. 35 to 45 minute album with an A and B side. But it's the digital age, and the attention spans are not. It's kind of hard to maybe convince somebody to listen to a 45-minute album. So as you see now, I've worked my way down from 11 to 8 to 5 to a single. So I'm kind of just really testing it out and trying this route, with a couple of singles. But ultimately, I do enjoy doing longer releases. So I think 8 to 10 songs is good when I have the material ready.
And that's interesting you said that. And you actually just sparked something in me. A little annoyance when it comes to the attention span of this generation. With me being a music person, and like I spoke to you about the vinyl records, like the CDs, the cassette tapes, all of that stuff. It had little digital boxes. It had little digital booklets, or you can trifold vinyl albums, and you can actually see pictures, and you can read where it was produced, and what recording studio and who appeared on it via which record label, yada yada yada, X, Y, and Z. So you mean to tell me that in this day and age the attention span is so, whatever you want to call it, that they don't even want to read that, they don't even want to see any pictures, that we just get one little picture for the album and then that's it? I got a problem with
Yeah,
that.
I, I agree completely. Like you're saying about vinyl's the best example because it's like an experience.
Yeah.
Um, so it's big. You see the big picture of the artist. You open it up, the artwork, and it folds out. And sometimes there's lyrics in there and other stuff. And it's vinyl is like the perfect format because it makes you have to be paying attention. You have to put the needle on it so you don't scratch it up. You have to flip the record over. It makes you after it's halfway over, you got to stop and think about it, what you heard before you flip it
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Listen to it. So it's totally different, better
Yeah.
experience.
You just mentioned something too. Sometimes there's lyrics in there. I forgot about that. Whenever you got a CD booklet or a cassette booklet, and the vinyl records did it too, and you actually had the lyrics that you could actually read, man, that was exciting. That was an exciting moment. Nowadays, everything's like handed. You could actually get the lyrics that will read back to you while you are listening to your song that you have easy access to. You don't have to hit stop. You don't have to hit pause. You don't have to hit rewind. You don't have to try to like line up the needle on the record 100%. It's just like totally instant. And it's just different nowadays.
Yeah, and it definitely kind of takes the mystery out of it, like where it's and I'm guilty of this. I mean, too. I mean, like everybody else. I mean, I use my phone too much, and you get your mind can start to be trained that way to not think, well, this deserves attention. But I think anytime anybody puts their heart into something, it deserves you know attention.
You are absolutely right. With me, I have to be like captivated within the first 30 seconds of a song. So I will say that for me, I am kind of spoiled, especially now in the digital era. But if I don't get captivated within the first 30, then I sort of just like don't even give it a chance. Now, are you like that with music? Do you listen to it all the way through? Or do you know, like, as soon as you listen to it, whether this is going to work or not?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I might be going back to what I just said, but I agree with you completely. Like I listen to music, it's always artist driven. Like it's very rare that if I hear a song, probably 30 seconds is a good moment. Something's got to attract me, something's got to grab me, and if it does, I'm gonna hear the rest of the song, and if I like it, then I'm digging into the artist. I don't, you know,
Yeah,
like to me that's an indication that this is somebody worth digging into.
that's awesome. Now, with the are you like sort of like I don't want to say force because that's not a good word, but do you feel that you need to make music at that like 2.5 to 3 minute mark nowadays?
Um, I think I most of my songs usually not quite that short. I don't think I would like it if I wrote if I recorded a 2.5 minute song that would be cool. I don't think I have. Everything is probably like 3 to 4.5. Um, if it worked out that way, that'd be fine. But I wouldn't go out of my way to make a song that short.
Well, I will tell you, a lot of the musicians are doing it on purpose
Really?
nowadays, and I don't like it.
Huh. Yeah.
I
Interesting.
and I when it first happened, because I remember 7 minute songs, 10 minute songs happened. I'm like, are they doing this on purpose because of the digital streaming? Like, you'll love the song so much and it's so short that you'll just go ahead and replay. Like, is that why
Mm,
they're doing it?
that's interesting. Yeah, because maybe they're just trying to rack up the streams, individual streams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that. I mean, like aesthetically, I'm a fan of punk music. So I mean, you go the Ramones are one of my favorite bands ever. I mean, they all their songs were 90 seconds to 2 minutes, um, and it's fantastic. Like it's so just quick and in your face that it's like, oh, you want to hear more. So I get it from it can work, from a creative perspective, but if you're doing it to for the algorithm or whatever, or for streaming, then that's kind of I
Yeah.
wouldn't do that.
I'm thinking that that's what they're doing, but what do I know? It just doesn't make sense to me, but that could be
That
wrong.
makes sense.
Okay, so I took a look at your EP, and Broken Mirrors or Damaged Gods, which one is your go to?
So when I'm doing a show and I got my band, we usually play Broken Mirrors at the top of the show, and we usually close the show with Damaged Gods.
Interesting.
So so you picked out two that are kind of cornerstones of our live sets usually.
So, talk to me about Broken Mirrors. What's the concept of that?
So Broken Mirrors, funny what we're kind of talking about. Broken Mirrors is um, it kind of is a critique of modern music and modern culture and streaming, believe it or not. So
Hmm.
it's just it's sort of a jaded perspective, just wishing that people would put more uh, put more heart into it.
Hmm. How mystical is that? See how we picked that one out?
Yeah, that's yeah. Like it was like Shirley, you must have read the lyrics. Yeah,
And you have a song with the word ego.
yes, ego deep.
Okay, there you go. Talk to me about that one. What's that about?
That one is so that the whole EP is really sort of I would certainly say like a transitional type of thing. Um, ego deep is a personal. Um, I would say it's meant to be like a walk, uh, a mental walk, but sort of like a dreamlike state. Um, I like to try to write stuff that sometimes sort of weaves between the conscious and the unconscious. So it's not linear or biographical necessarily, but it's real events mixed with dream imagery and um, yes, it's sort of a hybrid. Like, and maybe that's not the best way to explain it, but sort of a dreamy song,
Okay.
but pretty personal.
That's that sets us up for the next question. So when you're writing, like, does it come to you? Do you set it up and say, okay, so I'm going to write music today. So I'm going to put myself in this box. I'm going to put myself in this area or set my whole vibe up for the day to just start playing and writing music? Or does it come to you? Does it come to you in dreams? Like, do you wake up and say, okay, I got to get the pen and paper right next to the bed and I got to start writing? It comes to me immediately.
I think the latter is definitely more. I can't say I've written too many in my dreams. There have been times that I've something has popped in my head while I'm sleeping, and I popped up and started writing from there. But it is more that, like, if I don't know how many days I've wasted, like, okay, I'm getting up, I'm getting my coffee, and I'm gonna sit down and write something, and nothing, sit there for hours and nothing. So it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, laying the foundation, laying the groundwork. And if I'm doing all that, then in my everyday life, then it will just kind of just pop up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once it pops up, I gotta just sit down and do it. Like, I can't. Like, I usually write songs fairly quickly. So, like, if I get in the zone, then I'm gonna do my best to sit here for an hour or two and get all of it out of it that I can. I don't really edit songs for years or months or anything. I like to just try to keep it, because it's about a mood, it's about an atmosphere. So I try to capture that the best I can, as quickly as possible.
That makes sense. Now, when you are putting a project together, do you or do you make sure it's completed, packaged up, ready to go before you start to tell people that something's coming?
I usually keep it keep it quiet. And like these songs were just wrapped up pretty recently, about a month or two ago. So otherwise, I probably wouldn't have even mentioned them. But yeah, I like to do it, kind of quietly, and once everything's done, because I might not like it. I might go in the studio and be like, it just doesn't work, it doesn't click. So um, I like for it to be done and for me to be satisfied before I let anybody know in case it sucks.
That's awesome. That's pretty awesome. I did not know any of that information at all when I so called was making music. So I would always like say something ahead of time and then felt pressured to
Yeah,
meet the deadline to make things come out the way that I envisioned them. And let's just say that it was a complete disaster. So that's some
yeah,
good work. Yeah, keep it very quiet until you know what's what. So
yeah, yeah.
awesome.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah.
So now we are on the segment of the show that I know you love a lot, which is burning questions. So for those of you out there who are listening, thank you for joining and supporting Mr. Ian West here. Please go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, bring them on in because we're getting ready to get into burning questions. The official 411 podcast hotline is 609 200 1098. Again, that number is 609 200 1098. So if you come across this replay, if you're watching tonight, if you want to go ahead and chime in and give us some feedback for tonight's show and how my guest does on this burning questions, please feel free. The burning question for tonight is: what have you learned about forgiveness, boundaries, and rebuilding connections after broken relationships? I'll go ahead and read that again. What have you learned about forgiveness, boundaries, and rebuilding connections after broken relationships? Go ahead.
Well, I hate to just kind of make a general statement, but I mean, I think those are all crucial to moving on, to growing, to progressing. Um, and I think whether it's, romantic relationships or close friendships or family relationships, unfortunately, can unravel. I think making that effort to, well, not anytime there's bad blood, anytime there's bad, feelings, I have a natural urge to just alleviate that as much as possible, and to me the best way to do that is to try to be as open and honest about things as you can be. Some people don't, want it, don't want things to be that overt, But to me, if there's an issue, especially if I mess up, I hurt somebody's feelings or something, I try my best to go directly to them and apologize. Like that's, you know, because it would bother me if I didn't. Not necessarily for the greatest reasons, but because I would feel bad. So in long relationships and whatnot, I think it's really important to try to just, you know, put things to rest as peacefully as possible.
Yeah. That you know what that means?
What's that?
That means that you have a that means that you have a heart.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, because like we all listen, we've all been through some things, right? And one of the biggest questions that I would ask myself, like, how could somebody do this? How could? And like you said, you would like want to make sure that you go back and apologize. Some people will just do things and they could care less. And I think when people do things and they could care less, that is a lesson for us to learn. And when we don't learn that lesson, sometimes we repeat it again, and then you will be some like a person like me who, time and time again, you keep hitting your head like, how is it? How is it? Why? How could people be this way? And it's not necessarily how could people be this way. It's the simple fact that you keep setting yourself up for failure by surrounding yourself by that type of person.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And and we brought up Taylor Swift. She comes up every single time, but you said "Bad Blood," so that's a Taylor Swift song.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Ida likes her too. So
she she comes up every single conversation. But um, so what I've learned during this process, like forgiveness, the first person that you have to. Sometimes you said you like to go back and apologize. Sometimes you won't be able to apologize, and I know that like used to like tear at me a little bit. Like when you make a mistake, you want to apologize, and you can't go back and reach out because there is so much bad blood. The relationship is strained. Just be okay to forgive yourself so that you can move on. That's the
right.
first part that I've learned. And with boundaries, it's great to have boundaries. I think you set yourself up for nonsense when you don't have boundaries. And important message for everybody out there: don't let anyone make you feel a certain way because you've set up boundaries. Because I think that when you don't, it's like just leaving your front door wide open. You're setting yourself up for anybody to come in and wreak havoc in your world. So I think those two are very important.
Yeah, and I think what you said came to my mind as well. That once you start understanding that, then you can start surrounding yourself with people who do have a heart and people who are, why would you waste time with somebody who isn't concerned with, how you feel if you're spending time with them.
Wow. Yeah. I know that's some amazing information there. I want to say that I can't believe that the show is over now, but it is. You got to come to a close. This is always great conversation speaking with you, and we always tend to take it there. And tonight, I see a change in you. There, I see growth. So I see that you're pushing some different. When we spoke about boundaries, you're pushing yourself to different boundaries and different limits. So, congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad it's showing, and yeah, well, I appreciate you. It's always
Yeah,
great talking to you.
musicians, we're always deep and we're always writing, and so I think there's going to be some inspiration tonight, and maybe you'll write like a couple more songs tomorrow or something.
I'm gonna go over this conversation again, rewatch it, and see if I come up with something. I'm gonna let you know. We'll talk about it next time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Again, thank you so much for coming through. It's always amazing to have you. And I look forward to the release later on this year. And we'll definitely talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome. Take care. Have a good night.
You too. Night.
Well, there you have it, everybody. That was musician Ian West, Tennessee. It wasn't Kentucky. Again, I told you that I was going to mix something up, and I most certainly did. But um, I have to get out there. I heard that there's so much great stuff out there. Tennessee, I need to visit that as well. Kentucky, I need to get in that area. I think we need like a road trip to be able to cover a large area of territory over there that I haven't been to. On that note, I want to say thank you so much everybody who came through and supported Mr. Ian West. I do want to address these comments here in the chat box. Mr. Birdman313, thank you so much for coming through. And I should have addressed this with Ian West, but Matt Parker came through. Thank you so much. Looks like I have Mr. Antonio Armenio True Hill out there tonight. Thank you so much for coming through. And Mr. Birdman313 says, moving forward, forgive, but don't forget. I know that that is some great knowledge right there. Forgive, but don't forget, because when you forget, guess what? You're going to do the same thing over and over again. Birdman313 says, moving forward, forgive, but don't forget. But building a relationship again, maybe from a distance, but not into my boundaries. I like that one. Moving forward, forgive, but don't forget. Don't forget what you've been through and building a relationship. That's fine. Maybe from a distance, but you can't come over here. Oh, so when someone does you wrong, now I get it. Now it clicks. So when someone does you wrong, you don't have to be all crazy about it. I'm going to forgive you, but I ain't going to forget. And we could rebuild this relationship again. But guess what? From a distance, because you can't come into this boundaries here that I set up. You stay over there. I got that. I love that. Thank you for that. Matt Parker says really enjoyed the interview. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting Ian West. I enjoyed all of these interviews this week. I enjoyed all of my guests. They all have this uniqueness about them, and they definitely brought in and helped bring home the theme of restoration. And tonight was very special. Learning and knowing how to forgive yourself and speaking about boundaries, um, being honest and saying, okay, yes, it's not always about me. It's not always about you. What role did I play? What could I do going forward? Like the song of the day, for granted. Don't take any situation for granted. Every single person that we interact with teaches us, and they've been put here. We are all teachers. We are all students of each other. So don't take any situation for granted, because you never know what has been set up. You never know what has been orchestrated for you to get your breakthrough. And I believe that when we treat people a certain way, that's how we treat ourselves. So if you go out there and you be reckless, you go out there and you're disrespectful, if you're ignorant to the situation, we are all interconnected. We are mirrors staring back at each other. So whatever you put out there is exactly what you're going to get. So don't take any situation for granted, because what you do is what you get. What you reap is what you sow. What goes around comes around. So I've learned to not take any situation for granted. Song of the day, of course, please go ahead and support independent musicians, artists that come through. I'm 100% for that. Lolly Mariah, please support Lolly Mariah. Please support Ian West. Please support Maddie Lee Mars. Please support Antonio Trujillo. This is what it's about. Thank you all so much for coming through. Now, if you liked anything that you heard tonight, I not see another comment come through. I want to make sure I address that before we get out of here. Thank you, Mark Parker. Now, when I saw your name first, for some reason, I said Matt in my mind. And the reason why, I think that's like the South Park person. But Mark, thank you so much. Some of these things, they just come to my mind and I just say the most random, ridiculous things sometimes at time. But I saw Mark and I was like, Matt. I think Matt Parker is one of the South Park producers or something like that. But if you enjoyed everything that you've listened to tonight, you can head on over to LarenGaines.com. I offer a free 15-minute consultation, and on that, I teach financial coaching from an aspect of spiritual, mental, physical, and financial well-being. So, in order to get to debt-free living and to sustain it, because it's not just a go-to place, it's a lifestyle. We get there, and now there's steps, there's actions, there's plans, there's things that we have to put forward to make sure that we can sustain this and maintain a specific level of our lifestyle. And I address that through 4 different pillars: spiritual, mental, physical, and financial. If you're interested, you want to level up, and I believe that before you can get to a place where you're a little more content, the 2 major pillars that we have to take care of is the spiritual and the mental. If that's something that you are interested in, head on over to LarenGaines.com, follow the link, set yourself up for the free 15-minute consultations, and we'll go ahead and get that set up through the coaching sessions. On that note, I want to say thank you very much to all of the guests that come through. Thank you so much to Ian West. Thank you so much to everybody out there who's watching. I'm not in tomorrow. I am going to see my favorite artist, Mary J. Blige, on my fans tour. So we'll be back on Saturday, and I'll have all of the information to share with you as far as how that is going to go down tomorrow night. Mary J. Blige on my fans tour. And on that note, Saturday, Miss Vonline Jackson will be in the building for Reading Between the Wines. Final episode of this 5 Restoration. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You all have a good night. We try to get this one last before I head on out of here. Oh, he says no problem. No problem. Take care. Have a good night. Thank you so much.